All right, today we're going to dive into a really fascinating poem called 2,000 Years Ago by Denis Martindale. Seriously, this thing is a journey. It takes us all the way from crippling doubt to this incredible sense of future hope. And it's all built around a faith that has lasted for 2 millennia. And boom, the poem throws us right into the heart of the conflict with this incredibly raw and honest line. This is the disciple Thomas speaking, and it just perfectly sets the stage for everything we're about to explore, that deep human struggle between needing to see proof and trying to believe. Okay, so here's our roadmap. We're going to follow the poem's own path, starting with that disciple's doubt. Then we'll see how that doubt is answered, watch it transform into a powerful declaration, connect it all to modern faith, and finally, look ahead to something the poem calls the Rapture Day. So let's start where the poem starts, with Thomas. And what's great is that the poem doesn't just label him Doubting Thomas. No, it really gets into the why behind his disbelief, exploring both his very real grief and his very logical questions. You see, the poem breaks down his doubt into two key ingredients. On the one hand, you've got just pure human sorrow. He mourned such loss. It's gut-wrenching. But on the other hand, there's this intellectual side, his skepticism. He's asking, how could that be? It's not just stubbornness. It's a mix of a broken heart and a mind that needs evidence. In this moment really highlights a bigger idea in the poem, something about our own human nature, you know? It's saying that without solid proof, it's pretty natural for faith to get a little shaky. That doubt can make us pull back, to stay aloof, because we're waiting for that certainty before we can go all in. All right, so this brings us to the absolute turning point of the poem. This is the moment where that profound doubt is met head on. And believe me, everything changes for Thomas right here. The poem sets this up almost like a 3-act play. First, you have Thomas's inner state, this prayer that's really just his struggle and his fear bubbling to the surface. And then, bam, Christ appeared. The results? It's immediate. It's transformative. All those fears just melt away, and his sorrow gets completely replaced by this wave of joy. So what happens next? I mean, this encounter doesn't just make Thomas feel better, it completely remakes him. He goes from being the guy known for his doubt to one of the most passionate believers you can imagine. And this right here, this is the emotional climax of his story. The tears he's crying aren't from grief anymore. They're tears of pure, unadulterated joy. All that doubt is just gone. And in its place is this sublime truth that he just has to declare. It's a total 180. Now, the poem makes a really bold claim here. It basically says that the faith and love born in that one single moment were so incredibly powerful that 2,000 years, think about that, 2 millennia, couldn't weaken them one bit. Thomas's declaration became this cornerstone event with a legacy that lasts. And this is where the poem does something super interesting. It pivots. It shifts away from this ancient story and brings the whole idea of faith right into our world, into the here and now, through the personal voice of the poet. So the poet comes in and describes a totally different pathway to faith. They say, look, even though I haven't had that face-to-face meeting like Thomas did, I feel even more blessed. Why? Because their belief exists without needing that physical proof, and because of that faith, they can pardon claim. So this sets up a really powerful contrast. You've got Thomas's faith on one side, which was ignited by seeing tangible proof, and then you have the poet's faith, which is built on conviction alone, on believing without having to see. And the poem really holds this second path up as something special, a unique and profound kind of blessing. So where does all this lead? Let's get to the poem's final section and see how this whole journey from ancient doubt to modern-day belief is all pointing toward one big event in the future. The poem wraps up by looking forward to what it calls the Rapture Day, and listen to how it's described. It's not just some fuzzy hope. It's a specific moment stored in time, a future revelation that the poem calls the ultimate miracle sublime. And here you can really see how the entire story just clicks into place. It all starts 2,000 years ago with Thomas's famous declaration after he saw the proof. It carries on through today with the believer's faith that doesn't need to see. And it all culminates in this future hope, the Rapture Day, which beautifully ties the past, present, and future into a single continuous story. So if we boil it all down, what are the big takeaways? First, that doubt is a totally normal, relatable part of being human. Second, that a really personal, transformative encounter can completely flip the script on skepticism. Third, the idea that faith without seeing is held up as a special kind of blessing. And finally, all of this is building toward a massive future hope. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. By calling belief without proof even more blessed, the poet is really asking us a big question about what faith means today. In a world that's 2,000 years removed from the original events, what does it actually mean to believe?